Greetings everybody, if you're seeing this live, this is Obasi. I am here with Empress Eshe, and I'm gonna ask her a few questions on the topic. Well, first and foremost, can you explain to some of the people like what the mothership is?
How you doing, everybody? This is Empress Eshe, and we are here at the Mothership Institute of Womb Wellness. Basically, we are an institution that deals with women's health, and that really is primarily about teaching the family about the whole thing behind pregnancy and holistic healing and different things like that. So we really want to connect with the community and be able to give information where we can as it relates to women's health, being able to birth healthy and natural, and to be able to have information as it relates to after the birth and what all you might go through, being able to help your family understand what's going on during your pregnancy and labor and afterwards, and breastfeeding and all of the different things that we can educate the family on, so we can be able to make this a holistic experience for everybody.
If you guys never been here, you know anybody that's having a child, whether it be pregnant or expected mother to be, sister, any woman, come on down to the mothership. There's some great women down here, and this is also a place for families, so fathers are also welcome in the space. Also, there's also a place for them also, and she can elaborate a little bit more on that. But you did a class today on lactation. Touch on it. What was it about? Talk about like the lactation, like some of the things you guys do.
Basically, what we want to be able to do is set the groundwork just for a lot of the information that sometimes we don't get. We might hear, I'm saying, like a whole lot of things about breastfeeding, whether it's good or bad. You definitely are going to hear from a lot of people, man, you know what I'm saying, after you breastfeed, your titties be gone, man. You don't have them no more. But we really want to be able to offer all of the good parts about breastfeeding as well. The benefits for the mama, the benefits for the baby. And of course, we know one of the biggest ones is the fact that you ain't got to buy formula. So it is inexpensive because your breasts go with you wherever you go. So also, there's a lot of benefits because breastfeeding helps your snatch back. So you will be able to lose all of the baby fat pretty quickly, and the nutrients and the lasting health effects that it gives to your baby as far as their immune system and everything like that most definitely are worth the saggy titties. You know what I'm saying? I see some people popping up. If y'all want to say something in the chat, we in here just having a discussion, asking some questions.
Even men, even the fathers. So if you're a man and you want to know some of this information also, don't hesitate to join the chat also.
Absolutely, because we definitely want to give a wholesome picture of education. So breastfeeding is an experience that is primarily something that the woman does. But I know also it really affects the whole family.
And before I ask this next question, I guess I should put the carriage before the horse for people who, like myself. Can you give us a brief definition from your words of what is latching?
So latching is basically the baby's mouth being able to correctly clasp onto the nipple. The thing about latching is that you want to make sure that the baby's mouth is correctly latched onto the nipple, because that's how they'll be able to suck in a way that will let your body know to produce the milk. Knowing the difference between if they're actually hungry or if they just want to nurse because they're kind of like irritated.
Okay,
so they might be using the titty as a pacifier. So you know what I'm saying?
The common position I see is like when women like hold their child and they're cradling them, sort of like, from my perspective, I guess for many men, it's like you're holding a football.
That's actually what it's called. They call it the football hold. Yeah, because you got some big boobs, then sometimes you may have to try something different. You know what I'm saying? Because it might be like, whoa, it's all in the way. What am I supposed to do? But like, if you're not nursing in time, or if you're not really getting the milk out, then you can get mastitis when they get backed up.
And what's mastitis?
So mastitis is basically when your boob gets backed up because you have so much milk, you're not getting it out in time, and you get a lump. Okay. And them lumps hurt.
As a partner, child's father, as a husband, what are some things that we can do to help that process and help, support our partners.
The role in breastfeeding for fathers may not seem like it's as much, but really just the support is really the biggest thing, because there's so many emotional things that you're going through at that time. There's so many hormonal things that you're going through at that time. You know what I'm saying? There's stuff that's painful. There's stuff that's irritating. There's times when the titties is itchy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a whole lot of different things going on at those times. So I think the main thing for real is really to just be supportive, and really to just be in a position of, what ways do you need help? Because everybody needs help in different ways.
How can you prepare us fathers out here? Some of it can sometimes be so intimidating. Not trying to sexualize, but for men, that's a place for us. We look at, that we get pleasure and stuff from. So going from that to when she gets pregnant, to have the baby, to, like we were talking about earlier, oh wait a minute, one titty can be bigger than the others, and then something that's even with, like, now you have real live milk coming out of these things now. Yeah. It's a natural process, and it's a beautiful process. But for first time mothers, women, even fathers, it can be, what's going on there?
It can be a beautiful process, but it's not always a sexy process. It does go from, a woman's body being sexy to, like, what in the world is going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're seeing this, like, it's like this alien experience, and if you're not prepared for it, it can look really crazy. And that's why I think certain things like these educational classes, these childbirth education classes, the lactation classes and stuff like that, for men to get involved with this type of stuff, because things are going to change. It's going to look different. It's going to, be a different experience. There's going to be some stuff that's going to be crazy. But if we can prepare men for, this is what the postpartum time period looks like. This is what it looks like during the time period, the end of pregnancy. She may be a mean little bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it can be that. It can really be that. And I think able to prepare for that so that it's coming. All right, she's going to be, she's going to be a little hussy. She's going to have a problem. She's going to be mean. She's going to be irritated. She's going to have an attitude about everything.
Right. So it's an emotional process.
Yeah.
As well as just physically preparing, but it's emotionally preparing to support.
I would say, as it relates to pregnancy and postpartum, emotion is a big part of it. And I think that the physical part of it is so jarring that we kind of talk about that part first. But I think when you dig into the emotional part of pregnancy and postpartum, and the breastfeeding part and all that stuff, and the emotions and the hormones, and it sometimes can be something that even we as women don't understand. Don't take it personal if she might, have an attitude. She might not want to talk. She might be, or she might be going through postpartum depression, become removed, or she might be crying all the time, and you might not know why she's always upset. And we can kind of begin to create understanding with that.
And so what are some ways that we can also, like, prep the space? So let's say so when she's going through that process and she's breastfeeding and she's pumping, sometimes for us men it's like, well, she got everything. Okay, maybe I can help her by putting the breast pump together. Maybe I could, position some of the things.
And definitely having the technical parts of it taken care of is very reassuring. Like, being able to have somebody that can be the logical person and that can kind of, have an understanding of what you might be going through, and have some sort of empathy for that.
Can you talk about the skin-to-skin process and what's that like? And even talk about the importance of it on the mother side, but in addition, after that, skin-to-skin even for the fathers. Also, is it important for the fathers? Is it just something for the mothers? So
I would say it's recommended. I would say it's definitely recommended for the fathers, and I would say skin to skin is kind of like a given as it relates to the mothers, right? Because of course, if you're breastfeeding and your baby's always up in your area, so I would definitely recommend, especially early on, the skin to skin for fathers, so that the baby can kind of get used to you, feel your heartbeat, hear your voice, smell your scent, to create that bond with you as well. So it's definitely not just for mothers at all. As a matter of fact, the concept of skin to skin really came in as it related to fathers, because I would say that fathers kind of, might feel like they outsiders in the process or not know when to really interject themselves. So I would say that being able to have that bond with the baby is definitely something that's important.
To be fair to some fathers, What if you have the type of partner that, what if it's hard for her to express, because once again, she just had this baby. It may be hard for her to express, that she's having difficulties. And to be fair, side by side with that, she may even feel a guilt that, if she says she can't do this, or she feels like, she's struggling, it may be an expectation for her as a mother. I gotta keep going. So,
yeah.
You're, as a man, you're looking, once again, for her to tell you, hey, I need help. But she may not be telling you straight.
The hard part about it is that you kind of have to see the signs of it. It's really hard because there's not really a roadmap to it. And I just want to say again, because sometimes, when things are emotional and hormonal, they don't always make logical sense. And I think sometimes, as it relates to men and women understanding each other in general, sometimes women may feel like, well, he doesn't have emotional empathy for me. He don't understand what I'm going through. But sometimes it may be literally that. He may not have a scope to understand what you're going through, because men are so logical. And what you're going through in that moment may be anything but logical. And sometimes we do have to learn how to communicate it. And sometimes we may even have to say, I don't know why I'm feeling like this. We may even have to say, this is a confusing feeling for me. You know what I'm saying? But I think it really helps to be able to have that open line of communication where she can be able to communicate, and in times where she doesn't, you may be able to look at it and say, she's probably feeling like this.
So it's like knowing your partner, pretty much.
I think so.
Person you're with.
I definitely think so.
I can admit that the logic sometimes go out the window for us men too, because in that space and just having a baby, we're going through this process together. So it's not just she's going through a process by herself, but we're going through this process together. And because we're going through this process together, I may be experiencing, let's say on the masculine side, emotions, and there may be fears that I may not, bring to the table and say, oh, I don't know, but I want to be supportive, but I just may not have the tools, or may not even know, well, how can I be supportive for you and supportive to you at this time period?
This is Obasi, my husband, and he's been on here asking us all these amazing questions today. I think it's important to get a man's perspective on a lot of this stuff, because being able to really put the two together, we can actually know, because women, we might get irritated, like, why is he doing that? That gets on my nerves. But it may just be because he just really don't know what's going on. So sometimes we need to have these type of discussions and dialogue.
And for the men and the brothers out there that's tuning in, don't be afraid. Once again, there's a lot of things that I'm still learning as a man. And a lot of these processes and information is still intimidating to me. And once again, I have children as old as 19, and we going all the way down to newborn. So therefore, it's definitely it can be intimidating, but it's definitely neat. Some men also have daughters. A lot of us fathers, we have daughters, and we may have all girl tribes. So, and then some of us may even be single fathers out here. So, and single fathers took only daughters. So, even with just the education and the information. So, whether if it's coming from us or they bring them to places like this where they can get that information. Having multiple children at this point, even for us, and I remember our journey, having our children. What was those different processes? You want to walk through, those different processes?
Yeah. So there was a definite difference between all of my babies, because my first one, she breastfed for a whole year, and then she kind of let me know when she was done. She was like, I need a little bit more, I need food. That experience was pretty easy going, actually, because she kind of weaned herself. That also, though, it gave me the illusion that it was just going to be easy. So by the time I had my son, and it was 5 years later, he was not trying to give it up. I was still breastfeeding once I got pregnant. And so I was like, I really don't want to be breastfeeding and pregnant at the same time. So I ended up having to wean him, and he was like, he went kicking and screaming.
Well, hold on. No. We got to bring that back. So we don't skip past that part, because I think it's important, right? Like, to talk about that process of being a mother and then having, our son 5 years afterward. So so at the time you were already a mother, you had went through this process for the first time, but then turn around and having to relearn this process and go through it again. Can you talk about your feelings? Do you remember like the fears, any of the feelings? Like were you just like, oh yeah, I got this because I did this 5 years ago, or was it
because that was my biggest gap in having children, because the rest of them was back to back after that. But the biggest gap was between my oldest daughter and then having my son 5 years later. Like I said, because a lot of stuff was very, very easy with her. I mean, you know, it wasn't a breeze, but I'm not gonna try it like that. But like, it was pretty much how I thought it would be. And I think that by the time I got pregnant again, those pregnancies afterwards definitely was not the same.
That's not eat a lot.
Did our son eat a lot?
Well, I know they all eat a lot now, but
and it's funny because this man is laughing because he know all his babies is greedy. I don't even know why he playing with me, man. Did he eat a lot? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I had to stop because he was kind of becoming a bully. Like, he would just be like, pull the shirt up. You know what time it is. Don't play with me. And it was like, I'm the mama. Wait a minute. What is... I'm the parent here. You don't tell me what to do. So, you know, with breastfeeding with my son, it was definitely an experience. I think that he was very educational for me because, like I said, with my first daughter, I had a lot more of an easier experience. And then weaning her was easy because she was ready to eat. But with him, I think he would have just went for a whole 2 or 3 years if he could have. He had teeth.
Yeah.
And so when he got frustrated and he thought I was going to take it out of his mouth, he would bite down. Yes. See, I'm telling, so you know what I'm talking about. No, he would bite down. Yeah. Like, and I was just like, you're not doing this to me.
Because I remember, you know, you were very determined to want to breastfeed. And I was saying, you do realize you don't have to. You know? But you were really determined all the way to the point where he was kind of aggressive. And I think, going back to what you was talking about earlier, was saying earlier, as it relates to being that support system, where, yeah, I'm staying out of this one. How was it that transitioning from now him to then our other son coming a year later?
He was a lot easier. He, you know, even as far as weaning, because I was pumping, it was a lot easier for him to kind of come off the breast. So he really didn't give me a hard time. He more so, once he got on the bottle, didn't want to give up the bottle.
And let me be clear to everybody out there. The reason why I keep asking her is because for me, as a baba, they all ran concurrent. So it's just like
it all runs together.
Exactly, it all runs together. And trust the plus, I try to do it as much as I can and the best as I could, but I'm the type of baba that once it's night and the whole house shut down, I go into the most coma-like sleep.
He sleep through everything.
Exactly.
That's something that is less talked about in the realm of, you know, what can fathers do. And I think emphasizing the role of support, making sure you feel emotionally supported, because sometimes the emotion can be much more tumultuous than even the physical, which is a wild and crazy world of itself.
Nah, but it's sort of kind of territorial too, because it's one of the things where now you got this, you know, this baby here, and then now you have to share the breast with the baby. So it's a lot of conversations like, look, bro, I need you to hurry up and get what you need, and
that don't so we can get,
you know, so we can
get be ready for the baby to go ahead and wean.
Exactly. So
again, we are at the Mothership Center, and we are having a session after we had our Breast is Blessed class. And we want to remind y'all to go to the mothershipinstitute.com so that you can sign up for the rest of the classes. We will be having our Breast is Blessed class every Monday at 5 o'clock, and we will be having the live classes as well online. If you go to the mothershipinstitute.com, you'll be able to sign up for those classes. Also coming up, we have on Wednesday our childbirth education classes at 5 o'clock as well. Same thing, you'll be able to go on the mothershipinstitute.com and you'll be able to sign up for it. Go to the Mothership Institute on social media. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also on YouTube. And you'll be able to find all of our content there and also link with us, because We have different events throughout the year. We have different classes coming up. And we want to make sure we get y'all in on this, man. This is really good stuff. You want to get this, man. Yeah. And we are really trying to educate the mothers, the fathers, the children, the community, and everything, because this information is important. We don't always get it in some of our communities. And I think that for us to be able to get a lot of this information and to just have these dialogues amongst each other, because being able to share our experiences is something that, you know, getting the opportunity to do it, you can feel heard. You can feel like somebody else may be going through the same thing as you went through, or you may be able to help somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something that you went through. It's always an opportunity for growing, learning, teaching, everything.
Also, too, and going back to the father part, it's important for the babas, the fathers, the men to get involved, to get the information, education, and also share our experiences and our stories too. And you know, it ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Just so you know, the mothership cares if don't nobody else care. And check out all my social media stuff at Empress Eshe on all of the major social media platforms, so we can stay connected. But all of the stuff that we're about to get into doing, you know what I'm saying, y'all want to be in the loop. I'm telling you. And if you're in the Cincinnati area, y'all can come to the Mothership Center at 4365 Redden Road, and we will be able to get into these live classes in person as well, because we definitely have a lot of stuff that you want to be in the building for. All right, y'all. Thank you for being on board. Peace out.